Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Knows.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We head to Summerfield and check out on the exploits of the water commissioner there, one Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve, an episode of The Great Gildersleeve starring Harold Peary, going back to November 13th, 1946. And it seems somebody has caught Gildy's attention.
The Kraft Foods Company presents The Great Gildersleeve. Yes. It's The Great Gildersleeve, starring Harold Peary, brought to you by the Kraft Foods Company, makers of a complete line of famous quality food products. For every mortal on this earth, some would like to believe there is a guiding star in the heavens. If this is so, then Gildersleeve's star, lumbering through space, must this week have brushed by Venus. Fate moves mysteriously and in sudden ways. Fate was at work the day that Gildersleeve, wearying of the monotonous fare and familiar faces at the Idle Hour tea shop, wandered alone for lunch into the grill of the Summerfield Hotel. He handed his hat to the checkroom girl, let her help him off with his overcoat, and turned to look for a table, when suddenly, coming toward him, he saw a vision.
Floyd, she was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. She was beautiful, an absolute vision of delight. I tell you, she was just beautiful.
This dame must have been pretty good looking. Who was she?
I don't know. All I know is she was beautiful.
Well, didn't you ask, for goodness sake?
Floyd, I'm trying to tell you, this woman was so beautiful.
I know.
I couldn't just walk up to her and say, "Who are you?"
No, but you could have bumped into her and said, "Beg your pardon." There's ways.
I know, but I couldn't think of them. I couldn't think of anything except that she was beautiful.
Was this dame alone, or was
she was not a dame, Floyd. She was a different type entirely. I don't know whether she was alone or not. I didn't notice.
Well, what'd she look like?
Floyd, she was...
I know, she was beautiful. But what did she look like? Was she dark or was she a blonde?
I don't know.
Well, was she tall or was she short?
I don't remember that either.
You sure you saw this dame?
Why, of course I saw her. And stop calling her a dame.
Pardon me.
Finish me up, Floyd. I want to get going. You know what she reminded me of, Floyd?
What?
A poem we had to learn in school. I don't remember it exactly, but it went something, something, something. And then my heart with rapture fills and dances with the daffodils.
This dame fond of daffodils, is she?
How do I know?
I was just asking. I thought you reciting me this poem about daffodils. Maybe she was crazy about them or something.
It's the only poem I remember.
Oh.
Floyd, the woman was beautiful.
Yeah, tell me.
I'm not joking, Floyd. How do you suppose I could find out who she is? How do you suppose I could meet her?
Well, you sort of muffed your chance there. The only way I can think of is to go back where you seen her. Maybe she'll come in for lunch again.
That's an idea.
You know, the criminal returns to the scene of the crime and all.
Gosh, if she walked in there again, Floyd, I don't know what I'd say. But I'd think of something. Hurry up, let me out of here, Floyd. I've got to... Oh, a little early for lunch, isn't it? Only 11:30.
It ain't so early. If you're worried about eating alone, Mr. Gildersleeve, I'll be glad to close the shop and come with you.
Oh, no. No, Floyd. This is one thing I'm handling by myself.
Now, sir, what'll you have?
Huh? Oh.
Are you expecting somebody else?
No, that is, no, I'm alone.
Well, what would you like?
I don't know. I'm not very hungry. What's good?
The veal shank is very...
Yeah, I'll have that. Say, miss.
Yes, sir?
Tell me, you haven't seen a lady come in, have you? I mean, she was in here yesterday.
What kind of lady?
Well, she was quite attractive. She...
No, sir. Nobody like that's been in. Look, if you're lonesome, I'm not necessarily doing anything tonight.
What's that?
Let it go. I'll get your veal shank.
Oh, head waiter.
Yes, monsieur?
Maybe you could tell me. I'm looking for a lady. I don't know who she is, but she was in here for lunch about a week ago. I thought maybe you might have noticed. She...
Did she sit at that table right over there?
I don't know. I only saw her coming out.
Well, was she,
Oh, very.
And kind of,
Yes.
And did she have,
That's the one. Do you know her? Do you know who she is?
No, monsieur. But I know the gentleman she was with.
She was with somebody?
Mr. Engelbach.
Otto Engelbach. Nuts. Otto Engelbach, Peavy, the one man in this town I'm not speaking to. He isn't speaking to me either.
Well, it's a small world, Mr. Gildersleeve.
It's a small town, Peavy. That's what's wrong. This town isn't big enough for me and Otto Engelbach.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. Of course, maybe the lady isn't big enough for you and Mr. Engelbach.
Peavy, how can a lovely creature like that associate with a fellow like Engelbach?
Oh, I don't know. A lot of people are glad to associate with Mr. Engelbach. He's a pretty solid citizen. President of the country club 3 times running.
Yeah, he bought his way in. I told him so, too.
No wonder he's not speaking to you.
Like this affair he's giving at the club Saturday, the president's annual dinner. Why do you suppose he does that? So he'll get reelected, throwing his money around. I wouldn't be caught dead at that thing.
Were you invited?
Nope. I don't care either.
Little sour grapes?
Not at all. What would I want to go to the... Say, you don't suppose she'll be there?
No.
Peavy, she's bound to be there. If she's still in town, a show-off like Engelbach, he'd never miss a chance like that. He'll be parading her around, strutting like a peacock, the fat slob.
No.
Peavy, I can't stand it. What can she see in him, Peavy? Tell me that.
Well, after all, he's got money, as you say. And he's an eligible bachelor like yourself.
Oh, this girl wouldn't be influenced by money, Peavy. You don't know her.
Do you?
You can tell it the minute you meet her. There's something unearthly about her, Peavy. Something radiant. Something that makes you want to worship from afar.
Oh.
I've got to meet her, Peavy. I've got to get to that dinner.
I thought you wanted to worship from afar.
Don't make fun of me, please, Peavy. I know you don't believe me, but this is the real thing. How can I get to that dinner?
Well, the only way I can see is to make friends with Mr. Engelbach.
Friends with Engelbach? Never. No, sir. But do you know what he wants me to do? He wants me to apologize.
Well?
I never apologize to anybody. It's against my principles. Least of all to a fat...
Well, Judge Hooker.
Gentlemen. Still hanging around drugstores, Gildy?
You old goat.
What can I do for you, Judge?
You'll pardon us a moment, Gildy?
Sure, go ahead.
Say, Peavy, this stuff you sold me, there aren't any directions with it.
Oh, well, it's very simple. You merely apply it to the denture and then...
Say, Judge, you know Otto Engelbach?
Certainly. Why?
I mean, you're on good terms with him and all.
Why, of course. Why?
Yeah, I was just saying to Peavy, what a pity it is that Otto and I haven't been speaking all these years.
Well, I don't think Otto's losing any sleep over it.
I know, but the whole thing is so unfortunate, Judge. So petty and ridiculous. Two men who ought to be friends carrying on this way.
Well, you wouldn't be if you weren't so pig-headed and obstinate.
I know. I've been at fault, Horace.
You made a very unfair accusation against Otto Engelbach in public, and I think that he had a perfect right to insist on an apology.
That's just it, Horace. I've come to see that now. Haven't I, Peavy? Will you do me a favor, Judge? Will you go to Otto and tell him...
Why should I go to him? You go to him. Just go and apologize. That's all there is to it.
Horace, please, if you just tell him...
Tell him yourself. Why should I be the go-between?
I'm shy. All right, I insulted him in public. I think it's only fair that I apologize in public.
What do you mean, in public?
Well, you know Otto. You'll be seeing him, Horace. Tell him if he'll invite me to his dinner party Saturday night. Don't tell him I said so, mind you, but tell him you have it on good authority from a source close to me.
Yeah?
Tell him if he'll invite me to his party, I'll apologize. Will you do that?
What are you so anxious to go to his party for?
So I can apologize, Judge, for no other reason, believe me.
My.
Will you do it, Judge? Will you, for me? All right, then, do it for Engelbach.
Well, if I see him.
Thanks, Horace. Gee, you don't know what a relief this is. I've had this hanging over me all these years. Just didn't want to give in. But lately I haven't been able to sleep nights hardly, thinking about Otto and how I was unfair to him. Tell him that, will you?
Uh-huh. Well, I'll be going. And thanks for the information, Peavy.
Not at all, Judge. I think you'll find it'll stop that wobble. If it doesn't, bring it back.
Don't forget, Judge. You might even find Otto in right now if you stop by his office.
Mr. Gildersleeve, really,
Well, what's the difference? All's fair in love and war.
But to pretend to make friends with your man and then steal his girl.
Peavy, I'll say this. It couldn't happen to a nicer fella. Now, don't say I'm not friendly.
November 13th, 1946, The Great Gildersleeve on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. If you miss a day, you can always hear all of our shows on demand at classicradio.stream. Now back to Harold Peary and The Great Gildersleeve, November 13th, 1946.
Now let's get back to the great Gildersleeve. Judge Hooker has promised to patch things up for him with Otto Engelbach. But here it is Saturday afternoon, the day of Engelbach's country club dinner, and Gildersleeve has had no news. We find him pacing thoughtfully in his parlor.
The old goat. Would he have the sense to let me know? No, he wouldn't. How could he? No imagination. He doesn't know what I'm going through. He doesn't know how beautiful she was.
How beautiful who was?
I was not addressing you, Leroy.
There's nobody else here.
I thought I was alone. Eavesdropping is a nasty, dirty trick, my boy. That means spying.
Who's spying? I just walked in here. I was going to ask you for a quarter. Spying. Can I have a quarter?
Leroy, I'm about to answer your question. I wish you to regard my answer as the end of our conversation, not the beginning. Do you understand?
I only want to see the picture at the Majestic.
I just told you.
It's an educational picture. I thought you'd want me to see it.
Educational? It's 3 little girls in blue.
Well, it's an educational short. Goes with it.
Leroy, I told you I wanted no lengthy arguments.
You said when you answered it'd be the end, but you haven't answered yet, so I thought I'd tell you some of the advantages. Then if you...
The answer is no. Now, for heaven's sake.
Well, if I can't go to the movies, can Piggy come over and play?
I don't want Piggy hanging around here this afternoon, Leroy.
We won't hang around. We'll play.
I don't want you playing here either.
We'll play quietly.
And stop arguing with me.
Who's arguing? Okay.
Permit me to answer it, Leroy.
Sure. Gosh, what's eating him anyway?
Hello? Just a minute, I'll call her. Leroy, please go upstairs and ask your sister to come to the telephone. Do not yell.
Okay. Gosh, there's nothing the matter with her.
Maybe Hooker hasn't even seen Engelbach. if he had any idea what I was after. Oh, no, he wouldn't. Maybe he just forgot all about it. Man his age gets absent-minded. Better call him up. Yes, by George, I'll call him right this very minute.
Who is it, Unky? Do you know?
I didn't ask. Some girl.
Francie?
I don't know. Please be brief, Marjorie. I'm anxious to use the telephone.
Hello? Oh, hello, Mary Louise. What do you know? Well, it's funny that you should call because I heard only this morning that Francie told Clubby the same thing. So naturally, Lloyd knows all about it. And if he knows, George knows because Lloyd tells his brother everything. It's terrible to get mixed up with brothers.
Marjorie, I'm anxious to use the telephone. If you will confine your conversation to the essentials, I shall be greatly obliged.
Wait a minute, Mary Louise. Unky's mumbling about something.
Get off the telephone. I want to use it now.
Well, I'll call you back, Mary Louise. I hope you realize Mary Louise could hear every word you said.
I don't care what Mary Louise heard.
I could hear her gasp at the other end.
Oh, that's too bad.
Better take it easy, Marge. The least little thing seems to get him in an uproar.
Well, good heavens.
Hello. I'd like to speak to Judge Hooker, please. I don't care. This is important. Yes, this is Mr. Gildersleeve. The old goat working on a Saturday afternoon. Hey, listen, Hooker, you said you were going to get a hold of Otto Harbach for me. Why didn't you call me? What did he say? You might have let me know. Good old Horace. 7 o'clock, black tie. By George, you're a real friend, Judge. If I can ever do a favor for you, just name it. Thanks again, Horace, and so long. Woo-hoo! I'll be down to get you in a taxi, honey. Better be ready about 8:30. Well, children, what's the idea of moping around the house on a beautiful Saturday afternoon?
Huh? Do you mind if I use the telephone, Unky?
Telephone? Certainly not, my dear. Telephone to your heart's content. Telephone to Philadelphia. Call up somebody in San Francisco. The sky is the limit.
For heaven's sake.
And Leroy, go to the movies.
What a character.
Oop, that's enough. Yeah, where the devil is the soap. Oh, here. Yeah. Too hot? Nope. Just right. What'll I say to her? First impressions are very important. I suppose there'll be a whole mob of people around. Band playing and so forth. And somebody will say, Miss So-and-so, may I present Mr. Gildersleeve? And she'll say, how do you do? And I'll say, how do you do? Then what do I say? Well, Miss So-and-so, where have you been all my life? I'll just say it lightly like that. Well, Miss So-and-so, where have you been all my life? And she'll say, yeah, something like,
Oh, Mr. Gildersleeve, where have you been all my life?
Then what? Where have you been all my life? I can sort of smile at her and say, I've been waiting to meet someone like you. That ought to get her. And I guess I could ask her to dance. Just an excuse to leave the other people. But she'll understand that. Would you care to dance, Miss So-and-so, by any chance?
I'd love to.
Gotta have a little more hot water. You dance beautifully, Miss So-and-so. Light as a feather.
You lead brilliantly, Mr. Gildersleeve. You seem to feel the music.
Oh, I do. Tonight.
Is there something special about tonight?
Oh, there is. I feel I've known you for a long time. Possibly in another world.
I had a similar feeling when I saw you coming across the room just now. Even before we met.
Miss So-and-so, I don't like to ask this on such short acquaintance, but does that loudmouth Otto Engelbach mean anything to you?
I can't stand Otto Engelbach.
Neither can I. I wasn't going to say anything if he was a friend of yours, naturally.
He's an old friend of my brother's, but he's treated me practically like a prisoner ever since I've been here. He hasn't introduced me to anyone. Takes me on long rides.
Why, has he tried to force his attentions on you?
I've been able to prevent that.
Why, if he was to lay a finger on you, I'd break him in two like a match.
It's nice to know I have a strong defender.
And the conclusion of The Great Gildersleeve, November 13th, 1946, when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues in a moment. Now the conclusion of The Great Gildersleeve, starring Harold Peary, November 13th, 1946, right here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Miss So-and-so, let's go out on the terrace.
I think that's a lovely idea. There's a moon.
And I know a dandy little place to sit. You can see the whole 18th fairway, practically. Isn't it a beautiful night?
Lovely.
You're not worried about being out here with me on account of Engelbach?
Oh, no. Aren't you afraid of what people might say?
Not me. Don't sigh and gaze at me. Your sighs are so like mine. Your eyes mustn't glow like mine. People will say we're in love.
Ah, Mr. Gildersleeve.
Call me Throckmorton, Miss So-and-so.
Throckmorton.
Certainly not. I'm washing thoroughly, that's all. Yes, Floyd? I'm on my way. Just dropped in for you to put on a couple of finishing touches.
Now, let me see. Gee, the old tux still shapes up pretty good, don't it?
Well, it's not so old. It cost me plenty 15 years ago.
Uh-huh. Boiled shirt and pearl studs. Hey, those ain't real pearls, are they, Commissioner?
Well, they're not the most expensive variety. I believe they're mother of pearl.
Well, it's all in the family. Gee, I'd say you were all set to mow 'em down, Mr. Gildersleeve. What do you want from me?
Well, I don't know. Let's see. Mustache? Hair trim? Massage? I've shaved, of course.
You shaved, all right. If I tried to shave you any closer, you'd bleed to death. Turn around. Let me see you in the back.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you don't want to trim. You're right at the best stage. Don't look like you just had a haircut, you know what I mean?
You're sure?
Oh, why should I lie to you? I could run the clippers up and down there and charge you $50. Rather see you look good.
Well, thanks, Lloyd. I appreciate that. This means a lot to me, you know. Well, here I go. Here I go. Oh, good evening. Oh, hello, how are you, Mrs. Van Hartsveld? Yeah, good evening.
Well, Gildy, I've been looking for you.
Oh, hello, Judge. See you later.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
Engelbach was around here just a second ago.
Engelbach? Well, there's no hurry about it, is there?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were in a hurry to get straightened out with him. I thought that you...
Horace.
What's the matter? Let go of me.
Horace, that lady over there. That lady. Have you met her?
Sure I have. She's the guest of honor. You want to meet her?
Horace, if you'll introduce me to her, I'll be in your debt as long as I live. Longer.
Well, that's easy. Come on.
Wait a minute. Is my tie straight?
Oh, sure. What's the difference? Come on.
Okay.
Well, here we are. Miss Stevens, may I present my friend, Mr. Gildersleeve?
How do you do?
How do you do?
Well, Miss Stevens, where have you been all my life?
Oh, and her husband, Colonel Stevens, Mr. Gildersleeve.
How do you do? How do you do?
Colonel Stevens is the noted flyer.
Oh, he is? Well.
Would you gentlemen forgive me if I dance with my wife? I haven't seen her in 2 years. How about it, darling?
I'd love to, darling.
Charming woman, isn't she, Gildy? Oh, here comes Engelbach. Now you can get squared away.
What?
Well, good evening, Gildersleeve. I understand there was something you wanted to say to me.
Yes, go fly a kite. Oh, dear. Too bad. Well, what do I care? Her nose was too big. Good night, folks.
The Great Gildersleeve is played by Harold Peary. It is written by John Wheaton and Sam Moore. The music is by Jack Meakin. Included in the cast are Walter Tetley as Leroy and Louise Erickson as Marjorie. Dick LeGrand plays Mr. Peavy, and Judge Hooker is Earl Ross. This is John Lang saying goodnight for the Kraft Foods Company and inviting you to listen in again next Wednesday for the further adventures of the Great Gildersleeve.
November 13th, 1946, The Great Gildersleeve, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station, our webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stay in touch with us there. Now, from November 13th, 1939, another episode of Captain Midnight. This episode entitled The Cave.
The Skelly Oil Company presents Captain Midnight. Captain Midnight, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, at this same time, by the Skelly Oil Company, Skelly Jobbers and Dealers. And now to Captain Midnight. Last time you remember, Patsy Donovan led Chuck and Senor Pareda's nephew, Pablo, who has been nicknamed Pebbles, to the rear of the dark cave which has protected Patsy and her mother. Despite Pablo's warnings of strange disappearances in the cave, Patsy and Chuck decide to explore further. We now find them deep in the cave with torches made of pine branches. A strong wind is blowing through the eerie darkness, and the gurgling of water is heard. Listen as Patsy exclaims,
There, Chuck. Do you hear that?
It's the water we heard before, Patsy. Am I right, Pebbles?
See, Chuck. But please me, amigos, I do not think we should go further.
Gosh, Pebbles, we haven't gone very far yet. Hold up your torch, Chuck, and let's look around.
Well, hold it up high, and we will give this place a once over.
Jiminy crickets. What do you know about this?
Why, we're in a huge chamber. You can hardly see the ceiling. Gee, Chuck, what in the world are all those flashes up there?
Gosh, Patsy, I don't know. They look like flashes of fire.
I know what that is, me amigos. It is what you call the reflections from these torches which you are holding up.
Why, sure, that's what they are.
Now I've got it. My eyes are getting more used to the light. Those shining points are stalactites.
What are stalactites, Chuck?
I know. I read about them in school.
Oh, they're something like icicles, Pebbles, hanging from the ceiling. They're made by dripping moisture.
But they're solid, Chuck.
Sure. The moisture has lime and other solid matter in it. And as it drips down, the solid matter remains and the water falls off. That way it keeps building or growing.
Gosh, I can see hundreds of them. There's a great big one in the middle, see? It must hang down 15 or 20 feet.
Gee, Pebbles, you've been around this country a lot. I should think you'd have been in here before.
Oh, but no, Chuck. My uncle, Senor Juan, he tells me not to come in this cave. He says there is the great danger here.
Danger from what, Pebbles?
That I do not know, Patsy. And Senor Juan, he does not give the explanation. All he says is that many people have come in this cave and they have not come out.
Oh, I remember. When Ma and I fixed our place near the mouth of this cave, Senor Pareda told us not to go any further inside.
So that's why you did it, huh?
Oh, not exactly, but I was a little bit curious to see what was back here.
Well, let's look the situation over. The smaller passageway that comes from the mouth of the cave opens into this chamber at right angles, and we can turn either way.
Oh, but mi amigo Chuck, you do not think of going further in this place?
Oh, just a little further to see what we can find.
Look, Chuck, down below us. Look at that water.
Let's go closer.
Oh, please, mi amigos, take the steps with care. Who knows, but the ground may cave in.
Oh, I don't think there's any danger of that, Pebbles. We're on solid rock. Here, listen.
Ooh, what a hollow sound that makes.
Sure, it would in a cave like this. All right, come on. Let's go down to the water.
Well, I go, but I do not like this.
Look, Chuck. Look, Pebbles. There's a regular lake in here. You can hardly see to the other side.
Here we are. Come on, let's feel this water.
Ooh, it's icy cold.
Here, take this torch and hold it lower, Patsy. There.
Oh, this water, it is so clear. You can see the bottom, but it is very deep.
It sure is. Why, it's just as clear as crystal.
Now, listen, you two. You know something?
What, Chuck?
This isn't any lake. Listen to that sound.
That water, it is moving.
Why, of course it is. You're right, Chuck. It isn't a lake. It's an underground river.
That's just exactly what it is. Oh, and look out in the middle. There's a regular current there, and it's moving fast.
And if you listen carefully, the water seems to make more noise to our right.
There must be a falls or a rapids in that direction.
Look, there's a ledge along the side of the water. Let's go down in the direction the current is moving and see what we can find.
Oh, but mi amigos, I do not think you should do this. Perhaps we do not come back, and then El Capitan Midnight, he will be very angry.
But gosh, Pebbles, Red wants to find another way of escape, and this might be it.
Oh, sure. I don't see what harm there is in exploring a little further. We know our way back.
Okay, mi amigos, but there must be some danger in this place, or so many people, they would not have failed to return.
We'll watch our step, and we won't take any chances.
All right, let's get going. We can follow along this ledge until we come to some kind of a barrier.
Let's see. Now, how many extra torches have we got?
I've got 2 besides the one that's burning.
I have 2 also.
And I've got 3. Now, that'll last us for a long time.
Well, we better start another one right now. This one is almost burned out.
Okay. Let's stop here a second.
Here, I'll hold this torch steady.
Now, this other one's starting to burn. Oh, throw that old one out into the water, Patsy.
Okay.
Oh, look how fast it goes. This current, it is very swift.
Yes, we're getting lower all the time. Come on, let's get started.
Gee, Chuck, where do you suppose all this water goes? There's an awful lot of it.
And I don't know, but that's something we'll find out.
You ought to know, Pebbles. Are there any rivers around here this size?
Well, I am trying to think, mi amigos. I know this country very well, but I can't remember any such stream.
But, gee, Pebbles, this water has got to come out somewhere. I wonder...
Hey, listen. Do you hear anything?
I hear the gurgling of the water.
Oh, no. There's something else.
See, Chuck, there is. I can hear it.
So do I. It's a sort of a roaring sound.
Oh, stop. Stop, mi amigos. You must not go further.
We now return to Ivan Shark at Senor Pareda's hacienda. Last time, you remember, Dolores Pareda agreed to produce the Pareda treasure. She slipped behind a screen, but did not reappear as she promised. Rushing forward, Gardo pulled away the screen. Listen as Shark says...
You're right, Gardo. She seems to be gone. Fang, hurry.
You call, Master?
Yes, Fang, come here quickly.
Yes, Master?
Where's Fury?
She is in garden, Master. She looked for Pareda treasure.
Well, she's not going to find it there. But never mind. You stay here with us.
Yes, master.
Well, how did this Dolores get away, Chief? All she did was go behind that screen.
She tricked us, Gardo. But she won't get away with it.
Well, she sure ain't here now.
Senorita, very clever. She go through wall.
She what?
Why, of course, Gardo. Fang understands. He has seen hundreds of secret doors and passageways.
You telling me she went out through this wall? Why, there ain't nothing here but a bookcase.
So? There's nothing but a bookcase? We will see. Come closer, Fang. You will help me.
Yes, master. I look wall over.
There are certain usual ways of doing these things, and I don't imagine Senor Pareda's ancestors were very different.
Senor Pareda, all same do like in Spain.
Certainly, Fang. Very logical. Now, Gardo, if you will observe closely, you will see that the wall behind the bookcase is very thick. By going to the window and looking out, you would see that the wall is much thicker than necessary.
Yeah, Chief, I guess you're right.
Whenever the walls are so thick, Gardo, there is usually a secret passageway.
Okay, Chief, but supposing there is a door here, how are you going to find it, and then how are you going to open it?
I have an idea. Fang, what do you say?
Partition of bookcases has carving, master. There it is we must look.
Your eyes are as keen as ever, Fang. There must be a hidden button or lever. When this is found, the problem is solved. Observe now. There is a limit to where the Senorita Pareda could have stood. When she went behind the screen, she must have stood in this spot.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Chief.
Therefore, the lever or button with which she opened the secret door must have been close to where my arm now is.
Look, master. You see a gargoyle?
Yes, Fang. I was observing it. You will see, Gardo, that close to my hand there's a gargoyle. A carving of a face in the partition between the shelves.
Gosh, yeah, Chief. There's about 8 or 10 more along the wall, too.
Yes, Gardo. But the Senorita Dolores did not stand before the others. She stood in front of this one. You see, the figure has eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Any one of these could be used as a secret button.
You come close, master.
Now then, I will press upon the pupil of the right eye. There. You see, nothing happens. Now I go to the left eye, and I press upon its pupil.
Hey, look out, Chief. Something's moving.
Master, the door opens.
So you see, Gardo, experience combined with brains will find the answer. The whole section of the bookcase is a secret door. Slowly, silently, it opens.
Well, can you tie that? Now I see why we didn't hear nothing.
Exactly, Gardo. And inside, we will find a lever which will close the door as quietly as it opens.
Well, come on, Chief. Let's get Dolores.
Just a moment. You have an electric torch, Fang?
Yes, master. In my pocket. Here it is.
Good. You will stand before this door. And if the Senorita Pareda should come out this way, you will catch her.
Yes, master.
Come, Gardo. You will follow me. Be careful that you make no noise.
Okay, Chief.
Now, Gardo, we go down this stairway very quietly.
Hey, this ain't been used for years, Chief. Look at the cobwebs and dust.
Yes, and that fact will help us very much, Gardo. Now we're at the bottom of the stairway. Look, when I throw the light upon the floor.
Footprints, Chief.
Yes, Gardo, footprints. And they will lead us to where the pretty but dangerous Dolores is. Come, follow me. She will soon find out whether she can trick the great Ivan Shark.
And thus, creeping silently and stealthily forward, Ivan Shark and Gardo follow the trail of Dolores Pareda through the underground passageway beneath the old hacienda. Where will the trail lead them? Tune in tomorrow to Captain Midnight. Now, don't forget, your Skelly Man has a bag of genuine imported Mexican jumping beans and a fascinating new jumping bean game called Ringo Jumpo that he's waiting for you to come and get absolutely free. That is, of course, if you're a member of Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. Now, in case you're not a member, you better join up real soon at your nearest Skelly service station so you can get in on all the fun and free presents to come. You can even get these free Mexican jumping beans and the Ringo Jumpo game, too, if you join right away. But in either case, better get over to see your Skelly Man right away. Say, maybe Mother or Dad would stop by there with you tonight. Now, don't forget to tune in again tomorrow, same time, same station, for further transcribed adventures of Captain Midnight, brought to you by the Skelly Oil Company, Skelly Jobbers and Dealers. Where will the strange trail in the cave lead Chuck and Patsy? Will it offer a new means of escape or another source from which they can be attacked? Be sure to listen tomorrow. Until then, this is Don Gordon, your Skelly Man, saying goodbye and happy landing!
needless to say, those jumping beans are probably not going to be at your Skelly dealer, since odds are you don't have a Skelly dealer around where you are, and if you do, well, they're probably all out of business. They really are, probably. November 3rd, and that was from November 13th, 1939, so the jumping beans are probably dead anyway. November 13th, 1939, Captain Midnight on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A reminder, my friend Ted at RadioMemories.com has programs available on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. Contact Ted at RadioMemories.com. That's RadioMemories.com, and tell him I sent you by. Now, I also want to remind you that if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available at our webpage, which is classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. Stream our shows on demand. Learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can also find links to download our shows, or actually lists of places where you can download our shows from via podcast. You can find our social media links. You can contact me directly, and also you can buy me a coffee. That's at classicradio.stream. That Buy Me a Coffee money doesn't go to Buy Me Coffee. It helps us acquire additional classic radio theater programs, and it also helps us maintain our distribution channels. That's at classicradio.stream. Thank you for tuning in. Thank this station. Support their advertisers. Tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.